So, a friend asked me recently, Antonio, why should one have their natal chart read? Why go to an astrologer for a natal consultation? And this video is me sharing the answer I gave her. So, for those who don't know, a natal chart is a representation of where the stars and planets were the moment that you were born, seen from the place that you were born. And one can go into that description of a natal chart in more depth. But what's important for the purpose of understanding the point of a natal consultation is that this representation of the stars is a total symbol of your life, right? So what do I mean by a total symbol? So in the first place, it includes not just yourself, but also the things in your life and the people. So it won't just be about your character and your tendencies, for instance, but we'll talk about also the things you have, your finances, for instance, and also things like your health and the places you go to, your home, your workplace, and also events, right? Like your trips or like accidents that happen. And it's not just things, it's also people. So your father, your mother, your siblings, your enemies, the people you don't get on with, your friends, the people you do get on with, your boss, the people who work for you, your subordinates. So everyone in your life is also in your chart. So it's a complete symbol of your life. But it's also a complete symbol of your life a long time. So past, present, and future. And it's not just past, present, and future, but also it's things that happen just once in your life. So an important event like a graduation or an accident. It's also things that happen a few times in your life. Sorry. Like sneezing in the middle of a YouTube video. And that unfortunately probably won't happen just once in my life. And it's also things that always happen in your life, things that are like permanent characteristics of yourself or of your luck. Like your luck just always turns up in a certain way. You always meet a certain kind of person, for instance, in certain contexts. So those are the things that it tells you with regard to past, present, and future. And finally, it includes things that have to do with whether you're conscious or unconscious. So both of these elements are included. So everything that's within your purview that you can be aware of is in the chart, but also things that you are not aware of. Now, you can not be aware of things for two reasons, right, basically. One is that they're simply beyond your reach. So, for instance, I mentioned how your chart can tell you things about your parents, right? And so sometimes it can tell you things about your parents that you didn't know, right? They just never occurred for anyone to mention or for you to find out, but they're there in the chart. And there's also things that we aren't conscious of because we don't pay attention to them, because we repress them or we neglect them, but they're there. We could know them, but we just don't pay attention. And then they pop out in the chart like a sore thumb. And then you can see, oh, right, yeah, that is actually a part of my life and I need to deal with it. And so it's a complete symbol in all these ways, including everything in your life, including the whole span of your life from its beginning to its end, including not just permanent features of your life, but also one-offs, things that happen only once or a few times, and also including both our conscious and our unconscious lives. So it's the whole of life is represented in the chart. So once you know what the chart is, you can know what's the point of getting one. What's the point of going to an astrologer and having him explain to you and talk with you in order to see how the representation of where the planets and stars were at the moment you were born, from the place you were born, is actually a symbol of your whole life. So in the first place, it's a symbol of your whole life, right? We like symbols of ourselves, right? You like taking selfies, you like doing those online quizzes that tell you what character you are, what psychological type are you. So this is another kind of symbol of your whole life, and it's not just about you, right? So with these things, you get a picture of yourself, like a mirror will give you a picture of your face, and a psychological text will give you a picture of your, psychological makeup. But this gives you a picture of your whole life, and that can be useful if you want to think about your whole life, right? Just having this picture. Now, another thing then is that since it includes the things and people in your life, it can be used also to investigate them, right? I mean, this isn't your main concern when you're doing a chart for yourself, but you can have questions about, for instance, your relationship with your parents, or things, ask about your pets or something like that. So it can give you information about things and people in your life. And then, since it covers the whole span of your life, with temporally, it can do two things, right? With regard to the past and the present, it can tell the story of your life from a new perspective, right? It gives you, as it were, a narrative arc for your life. And that can make many things in your past click, oh, I was going through that. And so that's why that happened. And you can see how the events of our life and the changes that we go through aren't just, a jumble of random things, but they're parts of longer processes with beginning, middle, and end. Right? So that's what it can do with regard to the past and the present. But it can also, of course, and this is perhaps what it's most famous for, it can tell you things about the future, right? Sometimes really concrete things, but also in a more general way, it can extend the narrative arc of your life into the future. And that way, when future things happen, you can be ready for them. This is something that more Stoic inclined astrologers were very interested in, right? It can tell you that bad things are going to happen, and so you won't be too shocked and depressed when they happen. And it can tell you that good things are going to happen, so you won't let it go to your head when they do happen, right? It tells you that both bad and good is in store in your life and is in store in everyone's life. And so it can, it helps you control your emotions and so on. So that was their Stoic interest in prediction. And with this Stoic interest in prediction, we already get to, say, the last use, or the penultimate use, actually, which is what it was most popular for, I guess, in the 20th century, as far as I understand, which was as a means of self-knowledge, since it includes not just your conscious life, but also unconscious factors in your life. Then it's good for you to, as it were, step outside of your box, step outside of the story you tell yourself always, that is, of course, only made up of the things that you're aware of, and then take a bigger picture of your life and then get to know yourself better. And finally, for ancient Platonist philosophers, as far as I can understand, one important use of astrology and of a natal reading would be that it's a perspective of the particular providence that's active in your life, right? It's looking at your life from the perspective of cosmic reason, from which nothing is hidden, right? And where everything, both our inner life and our outer life, is present, and also everything is organized, everything is ordered. And so it was because they wanted to attain this perspective of cosmic reason that Platonist philosophers were especially interested in this. And even if we don't share their beliefs and we don't share their spiritual aspirations, it's important to keep this in mind, because it points out that having everything that's promised to be revealed in the chart, aware and present to us, is actually not a human experience. It's not a human perspective, right? This is a perspective of spirits and gods, seeing the whole of life with clarity and order. And that means that human beings and astrologers won't have access to everything that's in the chart. Being able to see all that is, as it were, the goal, is the ideal. And in the astrological consultation, the astrologer, together with the client, if it's a live consultation, will get into a dialogue to then interpret the symbol, interpret the chart, and try to find all these things in it, right? And then to approximate that, as it were, providential perspective. but that's not something that's natural to human beings. And so those are the reasons that I see for doing a chart, and I'm speaking particularly from a perspective of what's called Hellenistic astrology. And for those of you who are interested, I have a link below with the astrological services that I offer. Okay? Thanks for watching.